Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Steel City Sports Report, where we talk everything Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates. I am your host, Brady Vini, and hope you all are doing a whole hell of a lot better than the baseball team over the past 24 hours. Welcome, everybody. The Bucs, losers of back-to-back games after having possibly their best team win of this season. Whether it's, earlier this season or throughout the season. They had their best win of the season just 2 nights ago. And then they come out last night and today completely disinterested in competing whatsoever. So we're going to talk about that. Also, manager Donnie Kelly making a big statement, benching Oneil Cruz last night. He did play today, however. But Oneil Cruz taken out of the ballgame last night due to issues with his effort, according to manager Donnie Kelly. We will talk about that as well. Also, a little bit of Steelers news. George Pickens, he is not being portrayed in a good light right now. I will explain what happened there in a matter of moments, with so much other news that we have to get to here this evening. First thing is first, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to like and share this video, as well as comment in the live comment section. I enjoy interacting with you fine folks that way. Up to 412 subscribers on the channel, 412, the Pittsburgh area code. You love to see it. I love seeing that number, but hey, let's boost it up past that in no time. Going to get started here in a moment talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates and what all they have done, or what would be more accurately described as what haven't they done here over the past 24 hours. They just wrapped up about an hour ago their final game of a 3-game set against their division rival Milwaukee Brewers. And after winning 5-4 back on Monday night, having a fantastic team win, Nick Gonzalez 5 for 5 in that Monday night game. The bullpen, 5 pitchers in that one combined for the win. So a great first game of the series. And then the Bucs crapped the bed. And it was ugly. Bases loaded. We'll start with last night's game. Bucs got the bases loaded with no one out in the first inning, and the opportunity was absolutely wasted. They didn't get a single run across there, and after that, you might as well turn the game off, because you know how things go when the Pirates are given an opportunity and they flush it down the toilet. Things go very, very badly from there. It was a home run derby against Andrew Heaney last night. Joey Ortiz began the festivities for the Brewers, hitting a 2-run bomb, followed by Caleb Durbin. He hit a 3-run shot to make it 5-0. Durbin and Ortiz, they would then go back-to-back to make it, Durbin hit one out. Ortiz hit his second of the game back-to-back, made it 6-0 there. Wild pitch after Andrew Heaney departed from newcomer pitcher, forget his first name, Daryl Hicks. Don't even know who that dude is. I don't expect either of you to know him either. Anyways, he threw a wild pitch. It was 7-0. Nicky G, he continued his hot streak, I guess. He hit a 3-run homer. That made it 7-3. So the Bucs, like I've been saying, even when they get their asses kicked, they just show a little blip on the radar there to show, like, hey, we don't completely and totally suck. That made it 7-3. Milwaukee, they ended up tacking on 2 more runs. That ended the game last night, 9-3. Then fast forward to this afternoon, 2:10 start time. Probably the best pitching matchup head-to-head that we will see this year, aside if, Skeens and Tarek Skubal run into each other again. Jacob Mizorowski was on the bump for the Milwaukee Brewers today. He is a young pitching phenom, sort of like Paul Skeens. 6'7". He has been off to a hot start throughout his first 2 starts in the MLB. That continued today, was mowing down Bucs pretty consistently. The Bucs, they did get a, chance early on, runner on second base. They couldn't get anything out of that either. Then a rough second inning, probably the worst inning of Paul Skeens' major league career. I think it was the 3rd inning, excuse me. But the roughest inning of his major league career. Joey Ortiz drove in a run on a fielder's choice with the bases loaded and nobody out. They then got a second run on a fly out to center field. Made it 3-0. Then a ground ball hit hard at Nick Gonzalez. The runner at third broke for the plate. Gonzalez, his throw, not even close to the target. Davis at home plate. That made it 3-0. And then Christian Yelich with another single scored the runner from second. So 4-0 was the score after 3 innings. A poor inning for Paul Skeens there. Threw a lot of pitches. Did go back out there to throw a full 4th inning, and then that was it for him. Threw 78 pitches in just 4 innings. Gave up 4 hits, 4 earned runs, walked 2, only struck out 4 in this one. Just absolutely not like Paul Skeens whatsoever. His worst big league start. Maybe one of the worst that he will ever have as a big leaguer, hopefully. So that pretty much, spelled doom for the Bucs. I could tell you right then, I only half paid attention to it throughout the day. It was absolutely disinteresting, to be honest. I don't know what else can be said about this team. They find ways to disappoint without fail, and it's always when you expect it to. Like, you can clearly see how things are going to go. It's pretty much the same story every single game anymore. The Bucs, they'll have one really good game, and then they'll come back, lay up two absolute stinkers like they did today. Also, I forgot to mention, I believe it was on the hit into center field that made it 2-0. Oneil Cruz, he dove for that one. I didn't dive head first. He slid for it. Ball got past him. That allowed a run to come in. Just don't know what to do with this team anymore. They're beyond help. Maybe even past this year. This year's been a wash for a month now. But, seeing just what this team is right now down to its, core base, you have Paul Skeens and then nothing else. This team is so far from competing in the slightest bit. It's even worse than what we originally thought coming into this year. Coming in, you thought maybe if all things went right, they would have a sneaky chance to be competitive into the later months of the season, but they're not even remotely close to being competitive with any competent baseball team in the MLB. They did get 2 more runs in the ballgame today. Oneil Cruz, he reached on an error. Then Tommy Pham, who's all of a sudden swinging a hot bat now that he can see, he made it 4-1 with a single. Spencer Horwitz, he then doubled home Adam Frazier as well. That made it 4-2, but didn't matter. That was the final score. Really, the last gasp they had, I think, was in that inning where they made it 4-2. Nick Gonzalez was up there with Horwitz on second. Maybe you had a glimmer of hope that he can come through in a big spot once again. Maybe hit a clutch 2-run homer to tie it, but wasn't going to be the case whatsoever. By the way, Paul Skeens now, he is now 4-7 this year with a 2.12 ERA. Infuriating. One word. I don't know what stronger word could be used in this case, but 4-7, 2.12 ERA. Even if he was on, a good baseball team, his worst start, giving up 4 runs in 4 innings, that shouldn't feel as insurmountable as it does with this team. You have one bad inning, you still 4 runs in the 4th inning, you still got 5 full innings left to go to claw your way back into it. There was a team with at least some semblance of a bat that Paul Skeens was pitching for. At the very least, he would have walked out of the ballpark this evening with a no decision. But a 2-run lead for the opposition for when they go against the Pirates, it's like a 200-run lead. I don't know what to say about this team anymore, honestly. Just disappointing. You almost try not to care anymore what the hell this team does. But, hockey's done. NBA, for as little as us here in Western Pennsylvania pay attention to that, that was honestly at least a little bit of a reprieve from watching this ball club. Football can only take up so much of the news cycle during this time of the summer with, between OTAs and training camp. So you're just stuck either watching baseball or doing who knows what. Fortunately, for me, for I'm sure most of you watching this right now, all you have to do is just smile and take the pain, because what else are you going to do? Same bad movie 162 times a year, and you have no other reason to change the channel. Thank God this team is now off tomorrow. They will then begin another weekend series coming up. I'd be honest here, off the top of my head, I can't think exactly who that is, nor do I really care. Can you blame me, though? It's the New York Mets. That's who's coming up. Juan Soto, Jeff McNeil, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimbo, Francisco Lindor, Francisco Alvarez. Lots of good bats in that lineup. That's going to be another fun series. Anyways, just to get out of the talking about the almost crippling depression that this baseball team provides, let's talk about at least a little bit of, I'm not going to say it's drama, but at least a little bit of news other than, just suck. We did see something new that we haven't seen on this ball club in quite some time, and that is accountability. Talking about last night's game, Oneil Cruz, in the bottom of the 8th inning, he left the ball game. Alexander Canario went out to replace him in center field, and immediately people go, all right, he either got hurt, no way he, gets traded right now. So what the hell went on with Oneil Cruz? You immediately think 100 different stuff, 100 different things, except for what actually happened. And that is, after the game, Pirates manager Donnie Kelly said Cruz was removed due to, quote, energy and effort. Or should I say lack of energy and effort on a double play that he hit into in his final at-bat of last night's game. If you go back and you watch the video, the infield for the Brewers, they were shifting him pretty, somewhat hard to the right side of the field. He's a big pull hitter for a lefty. So he grounds one to the third baseman who's almost playing shortstop in this video. It was a soft enough grounder to where you think, all right, Cruz, lefty coming out of lefty batting box, he could maybe beat that out. Throw to second, gets the lead runner there easily. Then the shot pans to first base, and Cruz is just coming into the frame as the first baseman is catching the ball. Beats Cruz by 2 steps. And you can see him, he barely even touches first base. He's, jogging through the base. Not even jogging, decelerating through the base. So, after seeing that, Donnie Kelly, game already out of hand. It's 9-3 at that point, I think it was. Takes him out, sits him on the pine for the rest of the game. And this is a breath of fresh air because this is something that you do not see anywhere up and down this organization, really. I was going to say it's something that we never saw with, Derek Shelton. He would rather be liked by his players and, talk them up even though they suck and give them all nicknames rather than, say, hey, what the hell are you doing out there? Go grab some wood. And wood on the bench, that is, not the bat. So that was something we've never seen from Derek Shelton before. But really, the more I think about it, that's something that you never see in this organization at all. If there was accountability in this organization, Oneil Cruz, for the many mental gaffes and effort issues that he's shown in the past, going back a couple of years now, he would have been benched on multiple occasions. If there was actual accountability in this organization, Derek Shelton probably wouldn't have been, definitely would have not been the manager to start this year, and he might have even gotten fired at some point last season. If there was actual accountability in this organization, we wouldn't have a general manager pretending to have some sort of breakthrough roster here because of analytics. He would have been canned years ago. Congratulations. You nailed one draft pick definitively in 6 years, and that was Paul Skeens, which anyone with a quarter of a brain, let alone half a brain, would have been able to make that selection. Your trades suck. The best trade, in my opinion, that you could maybe say Ben Cherington did was trade off Rodolfo Castro for Bailey Falter. And even then, it's just a trade for what, an at best third pitcher in your rotation. And if there was any accountability in this organization, Bob Nutting would see that he is just as big a problem as anything with this organization, and that he would either sell the team or at the very least put, more money into this franchise than just the nickels and pennies that he gets back after he runs into Sheets and gets a burger. Just unreal that this is as big breaking news as, you could get with this team, but unfortunately it is. So Donnie Kelly last night, for the first time in years, actually shows that there will be accountability held to some extent in this organization. He benched Oneil Cruz. His full quote after the game, Kelly said, "Just the energy and effort going down the line. I think we were pretty clear the other day, and he, Cruz, knows the expectation going forward." Talking about the other day, of course, we remember, I think 4 days ago now, Oneil Cruz letting a not a softy, but not a scorcher of a base hit back up the middle into center field go past him, and then he didn't even bother going and chasing after it. He had to have, I think it was Adam Frazier at the time, come sprinting over from right field to get the ball and throw it in. So back to the quote here, "Just the energy and effort going down the line. I think we were pretty clear the other day, and he knows the expectation going forward. We talked, but he knows the expectation. Right there, I feel like we fell a little short. It's hard. He's struggling at the plate right now, and it's difficult when you're going through that and you're trying to figure it out. He's working hard to do that. That's the one thing we have to be mindful of, not letting that offense carry over to defense. Base running and the energy and effort that we're giving in the other aspects of the game as well." Another thing there that Don Kelly brought up, Cruz's offensive struggles is pretty too light of a word to put on that right now. His offensive struggles carrying over to defense. I want to say, I think I heard the number on 93.7 The Fan. He's hitting 185 over the past calendar month and a half, something like that. But yeah, that there from Donnie Kelly, pretty being scathing but defensive of Oneil Cruz. Says he expects better. Obviously needs to show better than what he's had. What he's given over the past couple of weeks. And another good thing that's coming out of this is that Oneil Cruz, he lived up to it. He didn't deny him slowing up whatsoever. His quote here, "Definitely got benched because I did not run down the line to first base during that play. DK had all the right to do what he did, and I'll back him up on that. It was my fault. I thought there were 2 outs in that situation, and that's why I let up running down to first base." He owned up to it there. The only problem that I have with Oneil Cruz, thinking that you had 2 outs in that situation has gives you really no excuse to let up there at the end. 2 outs, that would make you want to run harder down the line. Maybe he thought, there were 2 outs, when the out was recorded at second base. But even then, you were third up in the inning. You saw the guy before you get out and the guy right before you get on base. You're third up in the inning. How do you not recognize that there's only 1 out? Anyways, Cruz continued. He talked about, what he can learn from it. He said, "I accepted it really well just because we have 2 guys here in Andrew McCutchen and Tommy Pham who are really good examples. They always run hard, They go out there and give 100%. This is a teaching point for me, and I accept the way DK came to me and explained and presented it to me." So at the very least, we finally have some accountability, and Oneil Cruz, he owned up to it. And I'll be honest, he did show effort today. There were questions after that occurred last night if Cruz would be sat down today. I didn't think there was ever a chance he was going to miss today's ball game. You're going against a young flamethrower, and it's a righty on lefty. Cruz has been 10 times the hitter against right-handed pitchers than left-handed pitchers. So he was back out there today. The only difference being, I'm not sure if this was either a punishment for him or if this was, just Donnie Kelly saying, hey, something needs to change here with the lineup together. Cruz did get knocked down the lineup a bit today. He batted fifth, got taken out of his normal leadoff spot at the top of the order. So that was where he played today. Did show much better effort, even though, like I said earlier, he did have a fly ball get past him on a sliding catch attempt. He got popped up immediately and sprinted back to that ball to get it in, so showed much better effort there, which, is the least you can do in that situation. But hey, baby steps here. There was some sort of accountability held. Oneil Cruz owned up to it, but this team still sucks, so it doesn't really matter anyways in the end. Probably not, but at least someone's trying. That being Donnie Kelly trying to get this roster that is all pitchers and no bats to at least some sort of respectability. Okay, before we move on here, if you are new here, please subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Also, feel free to like and share this stream and comment in the live chat if you feel like it. Any thoughts, opinions, questions that you have, you can put those in the live chat below, and we can interact that way. I can pop those up on the screen here at any time. Going to keep moving along here. Let's get into the baseball, or excuse me, we are going out of the baseball world here. Let's get into the football world here. And there isn't too much Steelers news going on right now. However, there is something related to a former Steeler, a recent former Steeler, that does not have this guy in a positive light whatsoever. And if you were to do a little bit of thinking in your mind saying, all right, former Steeler, recently gone, now being, ridiculed online, who could that be? It shouldn't take you too long to come to the guess that it's George Pickens. And you would be correct, because Pickens, he was scheduled to host a youth camp here coming up on Saturday at Highmark Stadium in Pittsburgh, where the Pittsburgh Riverhounds play. It's, right down the river, literally from Heinz Field, Acrisure Stadium, excuse me. But Pickens was supposed to go and hold this youth camp, even though he did get traded to the Dallas Cowboys. But he, all of a sudden, from at least reading this, bailed out. This here from True Edge Sports. This is their exact email released to the families of, those kids who will be participating in this football camp. So this is from True Edge Sports, who was doing this, who was, organizing this camp. Word for word, this is what they said. Dear families, thank you for your patience in regard to the George Pickens Youth Football Camp scheduled for June 28th at Highmark Stadium. As many of you know, George Pickens was traded to the Dallas Cowboys on May 7th. Immediately following the trade, our team contacted George's representation to confirm whether he would still honor his commitment to the Pittsburgh event. We were promptly assured that George remained committed to the camp and intended to show up for the families who had registered. Based on that confirmation, we communicated this directly to you via email and text on May 9th. So 2 days after Pickens got traded, his representation said yes, even though he is on his way to Dallas, he will come back to Pittsburgh to hold hold this event. Now, continuing with this, unfortunately, as of last week, True Edge was notified by George's team that he has decided to walk back on his word and wait, where did it leave off here? Where it is? Oh, there it is. Sorry, pictures here on Twitter is where I'm reading this at, and it cut off on me there. So unfortunately, as of last week, True Edge was notified by George's team that he has decided to walk back on his word and is no longer interested in attending the camp. Let us be very clear. We are deeply frustrated by this decision and the position it has placed us all of us in. Our team at True Edge was fully prepared to host a camp this Saturday because we were led to believe George would follow through on his commitment. His sudden decision to back out not only reflects a disappointing lack of accountability, but also shows a disregard for the families and children who were excited to meet him. We are incredibly disappointed by his actions, and his actions do not express the goals or motives of True Edge Sports. So, very critical this True Edge sports group are of George Pickens. Like, it's one thing here if Pickens were to get traded and immediately his representation were to say, hey, this trade, Pickens, he's going quite a ways from Pittsburgh to Dallas. He's got a lot to figure out with both, on the field with his new team and also getting settled down there in Dallas, finding a place to live and, yada, yada, yada. At the time of that trade, George Pickens and his group, they should have said, hey, don't think we're going to be able to do this, or at the very least say, you might as well, just take it as a massive question mark that George is going to be there. Not sure now that this trade has gone down if he's going to be able to attend. So, you might want to look into some alternatives until we get a more definitive answer. So True Edge here, their email sent out, it sounds like they were absolutely blindsided by this, and that Pickens and his team, they not only bailed out pretty much at the last minute. Like I said, that youth camp here is on the 28th, this upcoming Saturday, so 3 days out now. That not only says, like, the way they worded this, that he didn't just bail out at the last minute, but they must have given one piss poor excuse, if an excuse at all, was given for him to bail. So that's absolutely crazy. And if it's true, I'm not, going to go too critical here on Pickens because there's always two sides to a story here. Just due to the situation at this time, only True Edge's, point of view is out there right now. So not going to go too hard on Pickens, though I will say, we've seen, this wouldn't be the most shocking thing for Pickens and his group to do. A youth camp bailout would be probably the least damning thing he's did in the city of Pittsburgh. Nothing heinous like, criminal wise or anything, but in the football sense, this wouldn't be the most damning thing football wise that he has done in Pittsburgh. Of course, we go to, wanting to fight fans, fighting players of other teams, in games, pouting on the sideline, needing to be babysat by his fellow players, not running the right routes, giving poor effort during plays on the field when he's not involved. And, of course, everyone's favorite, him showing up late to a game last year. And, after he got traded, we heard from multiple people he was late showing up to multiple things. But the big one, showing up late to the game on Christmas Day last year when he was coming off of an injury and needed to get, stretched out pregame. So, not saying that, he is 100% wrong for bailing out on this camp because we don't know his side of the story yet, but wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world if he and his representation did do this without any sort of, valid reason. Continuing here, the last half of the email here. This is how this ended. That said, we are determined, this from True Edge, we are determined for this event to be a wonderful experience for you all. As soon as we were informed of George's decision, our team went to preserve this event. We're pleased to share that Steelers tight end Pat Freiermuth has officially committed to stepping in as a guest for this camp. Additionally, we are actively in talks with multiple other Steelers players and fully intend to build out an exciting lineup that delivers value to every family. As new players are confirmed, we will notify you immediately. And then they went on else saying, to make this right, here's what we are doing. Every camper in attendance will receive autographs from all Steelers players present at no additional cost. All families who already purchased an autograph will be fully refunded for their autograph. I assume that's the one from George Pickens. And continuing on, a whole bunch of goodies going to these kids attending this event. And I will say this, good on Pat Freiermuth, good on whatever other Steelers players happen to come along the way, and good on the Steelers for stepping up and making sure that, these kids, who I'm sure their families paid damn good money to attend, such a camp. You're going to do a clinic with an NFL player. I'm sure that costed a pretty penny. I'm talking from experience here. This isn't football, but in hockey sense, I played hockey growing up. I once did a camp with former Pittsburgh Penguin Tyler Kennedy, and I'm grateful that my parents were able to have me do that. And, at the time I knew that wasn't cheap, but, I couldn't imagine, what the situation would have been if TK had bailed out last second. But, yeah, just absolutely a brutal look for George Pickens if what True Edge described there is the truth. But happy ending in the end here. Pat Freiermuth, who by all accounts, a good stand-up guy, a hell of a human being. Fans everywhere online today, they are giving Pat a whole bunch of kudos. So yeah, good stuff there for Freiermuth stepping in for Pickens. Just now realized I forgot to put up the banner there. So Pickens bails on the youth camp. And True Edge, they really emphasized there that it was Pickens' decision. Doesn't sound like in their sense that Pickens was, had something taking him away or, stretching him thin on attending this camp. So have fun with that, Dallas. Not going to say anything more on Pickens. Good on Freiermuth going and attending this event, because I think he wholeheartedly wants to. He's not going to do it just to, get a positive picture out of there and, positive publicity for him. I think Freiermuth will do this legitimately because he wants to. And hopefully we get some more players in there as well. Be interesting to see who it would be, because, it's very much a downtime in the NFL right now. I'm sure the bunch of these Steelers players, they are stretched far and wide across the country, hell, maybe even the world right now, either working out on their own or going on vacations. If I had to guess, who else would show up, just thinking here, I could see maybe like a Jalen Warren showing up for something like this. Maybe Deshaun Elliott. He was just in Pittsburgh to put pen to paper on a new contract, or at least I think he was. Maybe Elliott shows up, celebrates a new contract, given back to some kids who at a time, he was just like those kids. The Steelers posted a picture of him wearing Steelers football gear as a kid. So we'll see what all comes of that. Let's go to the comment section real quick. Flacco, welcome back, buddy. TJ Watt should go. Yeah, I mean, I wonder where he's at right now, TJ. I don't know if he's, stays in Pittsburgh during the downtime here. I remember last year, I'm not sure if it was in Pittsburgh, or I'm sure he has, land back in Wisconsin. I'm sure the whole rest of his family does. But yeah, I mean, what if he's available? What better way to, try to get a couple more dollars in it? Not like saying exclusively, but at least show that you're still around Pittsburgh here, TJ. Freiermuth should go. I wouldn't be shocked if like Will Howard shows up to that. Maybe a couple of rookies, Howard, maybe Derek Harmon. No, honestly, if Will Howard would go, probably be like a him and Jack Sawyer thing. They'll always go together, I believe. Or even Mason Rudolph. He's good with people of Pittsburgh. Yeah, and you're talking about a guy who's like the most famous guy on that roster right now. Even back like before and after Aaron Rodgers signed, Rudolph, he is a man of the people right now. Trying to think, like, let's go one for each position, one guy who would go. So quarterback, I'd think Rudolph or Howard. No, I think Rudolph. Doesn't he live down in Texas or something? I don't know. So Howard or Rudolph, I'm going to lean Howard because I think they just did something, the Steelers rookies, before OTAs and minicamp wrapped up. Jaylen Warren, he definitely be one. Wide receiver, Roman Wilson, Calvin Austin. No, actually, I'm taking that back. Calvin Austin, he would definitely be a guy to do this. Tight end, Freiermuth is taken. Offensive lineman, who would do this? I'd have to go. I'm going to go. I want to say Zach Frazier, but I'm going to go off the rails and say Mason McCormick. I'm going to go a little outside the box there. Mason McCormick seems like a dude who would have a ton of who would like be like a real pleaser with the kids, keep them engaged, and also make sure they have fun. Defensive line, Derek Harmon, be a hell of a, be a much better scenario. What if Cam pulled up to this? I know he does a lot of stuff off the field for, the kids, Hayward, House, et cetera, et cetera. He does a ton in the Pittsburgh community. Also, I think if I were to know Cam, he would first and foremost do it for the kids, Cam. But I think Cam, he was probably one of the hottest Steelers players last year who were completely done and over Pickens BS. I would not be shocked for 1 second if Cam were to do this first and foremost, but because of the kids, but also to spite Pickens a little bit. Outside linebacker, TJ would be one. I think Highsmith, he would be a good option to show up. Or, I talked about how if Will Howard would go, Jack Sawyer would go. If Nick Herbig were to pull up to this, I also think Keanu Benton would as well for defensive lineman. And then defensive back or middle linebacker here. Sounds like a Peyton Wilson type of deal. And then defensive back, Minka, yeah. Minka, he would be a good one to show up. Deshaun Elliott, too. I think, those two would be good for something like this. Corner, Joey Porter Jr. or Corey Trice would be my pick for that. And then Boswell should be, too. Yeah, Boz, he could be a good one. Isn't Boz a new dad? I can't keep up with, what all Pittsburgh athletes are having kids, but Boz, he might, want to take some time off of dad duty to go from taking care of your own kid to go watching other kids play football. Cam Hayward looks like my dad in real life. That's all right. That's all right. My dad, for like years, I think he always used to be, said he looked like Ben Roethlisberger. I even had, a girl I went to in high school with, she said, "Why does your dad look so much like Big Ben?" And at the time, like, it never really clicked to me that he does. I'm like, nah, he doesn't. But then, like, I'm like, if you were to look at a picture of my dad, back when Ben was in his prime, I'm like, maybe a little. Your dad looks like Cam Hayward. My dad looked like Ben Roethlisberger. Crazy. Mirroring greatness, Flacco. Our fathers are. They're mirroring greatness. Yes, to the Steel City dad. Absolutely. Okay, so we talked about the Bucs and their absolute brutal state. And it's not like I didn't call it either. I think it was last night. I said the Bucs, they had their they're probably their best team win that you will see this season. And I said, watch, they're probably going to get their doors blown off the next 2 games. And that's, pretty much what happened. Looked completely outmatched over the past 2 nights. Oneil Cruz, he got benched, even though it was for the final inning of a game last night. Who knows, maybe he will get benched for a game this upcoming series against the Mets. I think he was in there today, not only because it was, a righty on lefty matchup, and even though he's in a slump, you want to get your best left-handed bat in there against the right-handed pitcher. But also, I think got Pickens on my mind. Also, I think Cruz played today because the Bucs, they were going for a series win, and can't have a guy who's been one of your better bats this year ride the pine in a series-deciding game. So, yeah. So Pickens, he got benched. At least some accountability was held, and now we just saw George Pickens seemingly bailing out on a youth camp. Again, don't want to completely incriminate the guy here. There's 2 sides to a story, so if he ever feels like coming forward with his side of the story, we will, reevaluate all of our takes here. But again, with his past of troubles on the football team here in town, wouldn't be too far-fetched to think that what True Edge Sports Group said about him in that email wouldn't be too far from the truth. Oh, what's up, Flacco? Switched over to account. Poor kids gone mobile. That's all right, Flacco. Appreciate you committing here. Switching over to the mobile phone. Going to continue on here. We're going to get into the more Pittsburgh news segment of the show, and got a good bit here today. We just talked about one troubling on the field football wide receiver for the Steelers. How about we move to another former Steelers wideout who has been not too well in the black and gold? Diontae Johnson. I am not sure if you watching this have heard of this or not, but this might be the craziest thing I've ever read about a guy in some time. So I saw this first from Warren Sharp last night. Warren Sharp does some stuff for his own, analysis, website and all that, but pretty good engagement farmer here on Twitter. He posted a quote from Diontae Johnson. Not sure how this quote got out, if this was something he said when he was with the Browns or not, or if he, was on like a podcast and he said this or not. But Johnson refused to enter a game last year when he was a part of the Ravens because he was, quote, ice cold, like coming off the bench. He was, supposed to go into the game off the bench. He said he was too cold to go into the game while the temperature of that game was 41 degrees. So the full quote here from Diontae Johnson, and I quote, "I wasn't getting into no run plays, no passing plays or nothing. It was cold. End of the third going into the fourth, they were like, hey, we need you. I was like, nah, I don't think it's a good idea for me. Like, my legs are already ice cold and I didn't want to go out there and put bad stuff on film. It's not like I didn't want to go into the game, but leading up to this point, I had been through so much. I told them I'm not finna go in, so I just sat on the bench, and that's when they suspended me. In 41 degrees weather. He said that. Let me look at, my paper here real quick. Where's Deontay Johnson playing this season? Oh, Cleveland. For the Cleveland Browns, which honestly, Cleveland, colder than Pittsburgh during the winter. Because, Pittsburgh, it's cold. I mean, hell, one of the first Steeler games that me and my dad went to, we went out there. We always talked, me and my dad, saying, like, there is no way in hell you could catch us going to a game when it's like below 30 degrees, going to a Steelers game. That is us catching the bug of going to a Steelers game before. We're like, screw it, let's do it. It was damn near in the negatives. It was like a 9-degree day game. And we went, and we didn't feel a thing. But it was cold there because Acrisure Stadium right there on the river. But Cleveland, you're right there on the lake. The breeze from the river, it's one thing, but lake effect snow and weather coming off the lake right into the Brown Stadium there, that's even worse. And you were complaining being down in Baltimore that you were cold in 41-degree weather. Well, I mean, if that's true, and he is like dead set on, hey, I'm not going to go into no game below 41 degrees, then the Steelers, when they play the Browns this year, they might as well, take it easy. Because good chance that both of those games, the weather's going to be around 41, if not below. So that is an absolutely insane thing I read last night on Deontay Johnson. He did respond to it. Not sure if he's quoting, if he's like reacting to that quote getting out there. He posted "move on" with, I guess the emoji he picked was the emoji person going like this, maybe like arms crossed like they're upset, or arms crossed like showing they're cold. Move on might be a best case scenario for you, DJ, because by the sounds of it, looks like a team you would want to play for the most is either a team that has a dome stadium or a team down south, like I'm not going to even say Tennessee, because hell, even they have a chance of getting, around the 40 card. Probably Miami's your best bet, or somewhere out in California. But those teams, they seem to be pretty set at wide receiver right now, so you're sorry and out of luck. But that is just absolutely insane that Johnson would say that. Played in Pittsburgh, showed really no issues playing in, low temperature weather then, which, by the way, that game I said I went to with my dad, where it was, below 20 degrees, he played that game without any issues. And then he went down to Carolina, went then to Baltimore, and, saying, hey, we need you, like saying that the only reason he didn't go in was because, he hadn't been in the game up until that point. Boy, talk about feeding the ego there. Really saying, putting the I in team right there. In case you haven't figured out, no I in team, but clearly putting himself, which, by the way, if you had any chance to get into the game at that point, Deontay Johnson, you got traded from the Steelers to the Carolina Panthers, which at the time, they were football's residential hell. And then you went back to a contending team in the Ravens, and you were asked to go into a game after you just got jumbled around by a couple of teams, and you sucked, by the way, at that time. And when a good team like the Ravens needed you, you just said, nah, I'm good. Just because you had a little bit of a chill You didn't even try to, prove your place on a contending team. That's even more crazy than him just, saying this in general. But yeah, insane. LMAO, no wonder why he sucked in the winter. Yeah, he was cold. Aw, yeah. Playing in Miami would be too hot for him. It's nuclear and you can't take off layers. Yeah. By the way, is in Miami, they were smart in how they built their stadium because they used how teams in the up north, they've become used to playing in cold weather, and they use it to their advantage when teams from the south come up north. The Dolphins, they figured it out. They got not a fully enclosed stadium, it's an open stadium, but the way they have it down there in Miami, when they play 1:00 games, the sun comes through the roof and it's only hitting the opposing sideline. So it could be like a 95-degree kickoff there down in Miami, but it'll be like 105, 110 over on that sideline, even with their fans on, because they have it so they built that stadium and they set up the sidelines to where, hey, let the opposing team go over there on that sideline. Crazy that DJ said that. Also, maybe he signed with the Browns because the Browns, apparently they're looking into building a domed stadium here in the next couple of years. Maybe he thought, oh, dome stadium, hell yeah, I'm signing in Cleveland, not knowing that it's still a couple years out. Some days you can't even breathe down there. Yeah, I mean, it's almost like what it is here in Western Pennsylvania. It was above 90 for the past 3 days. And I've seen the pictures where even though you're inside, and even though you're somewhere where it's you're still exposed to the outside heat, if you're in shade and you got a fan blowing on you, it's still 90 degrees. Yeah, absolutely crazy right now. I mean, hell, I'm here in this office here. I have a fan right here off camera blowing on me, and I can still feel the heat. Browns deserve a stadium, and we can't get an upgraded training facility. Boo. Yeah. I mean, the Browns getting a stadium is one thing. Them getting a new stadium, that's one thing. I think it's their new stadium, from what, little I know on this situation. It's going to be more outside of Cleveland, but it's a dome. I know, there's one thing getting extra revenue because you can hold more events in a dome stadium, but also you're the Cleveland Browns playing in the AFC North, the Smash Mouth League or division in the NFL, and you're going to put a dome on your stadium? That's soft. That's soft. That's just my take. All AFC North teams, they should have an open-air stadium for all time, because it is advantage when you get other teams coming out of controlled climate environments coming into the elements. That works to your advantage. And the Browns, in attempt to get more of the almighty dollar, they are going to put a roof on their stadium. I pray it's shaped like a toilet bowl. Probably will be. You got a team named after a color with a dog mascot and an elf on their center field logo playing in a toilet-shaped stadium. That doesn't get any more Cleveland Browns than that. Okay, moving on here to another thing. Let's move away from drama Steelers wide receivers who, have had their fair share of struggles to catch the football. Instead, let's talk about someone who made the greatest catch in Steelers history. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is Franco Harris. And some exciting news is that we are going to be getting an Immaculate Reception movie, or at least a film. It's not a movie, but we are supposedly getting an Immaculate Reception film. Mike DeFabo, who covers the Steelers for The Athletic, he posted this. I am not entirely sure if this is his work here or if this is... Okay, now I blow up the picture here. This is apparently an email that Mike DeFabo posted to Twitter, but award-winning filmmaker and lifelong Steelers fan Bill McAdams Jr. will delve into the extraordinary journey of one of the most iconic pieces of memorabilia in NFL history. He has secured the exclusive rights to the captivating story of the Immaculate Reception football, one of the most iconic pieces of memorabilia in NFL history. So we are not getting a film on the actual play, but on the football, which, by the way, I think the football, after, watching videos on YouTube, it's like in some dude's basement in like a bank vault. Honestly, this dude put a massive vault in his basement, and he's keeping the football of that play in his basement. So we'll be on the lookout for that. A film will be centered around Jim Baker, a former insurance salesman from West Mifflin, Pennsylvania, who's known for having the Immaculate Reception ball in his possession for several decades. We are going to get a film on the Immaculate Reception. Be interesting to see what that film will be. It's not going to be like a big movie, is it? I don't know. I have no clue. Moving along here, this doesn't have anything to do with the Steelers immediately, but I just got to say, I saw this from ML Football last night, and my childhood's ending, man, and it sucks. Just ML Football last night posting a list of all of the great quarterbacks that I, and I'm sure a good bit of you who watch this grew up watching: Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Ben Roethlisberger, Eli Manning, Matt Ryan, Kurt Warner, Cam Newton, Michael Vick, Andrew Luck, Carson Palmer, Tony Romo, and Donovan McNabb. That's sad. But it's how life is. Time rolls on here. All those great quarterbacks are gone, and of course, YML Football posted this. Aaron Rodgers and most likely Joe Flacco, they're going to be joining that list and officially ending an era. One of the greatest eras of football ever. Last bit of Steelers news here for the day. This probably the most minor bit of Steelers news that I will report on this channel ever. And that is that they made a signing, but it is for literally the least talked about position on the team. The Steelers today, they signed a long snapper, Tucker Addington, to a one-year contract. This I saw first from Allen Saunders. Addington has been with 6 NFL teams, most recently with the Houston Texans, and he has played in 10 career games. Don't want to call... my guess is that this is like a camp body, maybe a slight bit of competition for current long snapper Christian Kuntz, Duquesne Duke. Don't see him getting replaced anytime soon, but, there's a signing. We're going to talk about it, and it's a long snapper today. Moving out of the football world here, back into the hockey for a second. NHL draft here, now 2 nights away. It will be coming up here on Friday. I believe it's at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock is when that starts. We will be live for that, at least the first half of the first round of the NHL draft, see what the Penguins do with their back-to-back first-round picks number 11 and 12. But in the meantime, we are still stuck talking about possible trades that the Pens can make, and most being talked about for the Pens is Erik Karlsson. I've seen a ton of stuff over the past 24 hours about him probably going to get moved here soon. There seems to be a handful of teams interested in him. And just wanted to point that out there. We're going to keep an eye on it. Also, Frank Saravalli, NHL Insider, says the Buffalo Sabres, they're in the market for a right shot defenseman. They're looking to get better How about, can we interested in you in an Erik Karlsson? Erik Karlsson for JJ Peterka, maybe a draft pick on top of it. We retain a couple $1 million on Erik Karlsson's contract. I'd be cool with that. Also, just thinking about some other teams. Maybe, I don't know, just spitballing competitive teams here who are looking for a defenseman possibly. Florida Panthers, once Eric Ekblad is gone. Edmonton Oilers. Carolina Hurricanes. Toronto Maple Leafs. Team like that. We'll see where Erik Karlsson goes here soon. Probably going to be my guess. Might get a trade on draft night, Friday night. Might not. At least I'd put a decent probability that Erik Karlsson gets moved at some point this weekend during the draft. But we'll have to wait and see. Also, another big trade went down today too, so some bigger trades are happening. Evander Kane, which, what a piece of work he is, off of the crazy a-hole stuff he did in the Cup final. He got moved today, traded from Edmonton to the Vancouver Canucks. Jim Rutherford. He takes swings. Sometimes they're big and they'll hit home runs. Sometimes he spins out of his shoes and he falls down striking out. That is a very interesting trade there for the Vancouver Canucks. Evander Kane heading there today. Another big trade in the NHL. Are going to talk about the draft a little bit here. I've mentioned how the Penguins on their social medias, they've posted videos of certain prospects in this year's draft, high prospects too, first round picks certainly. The Penguins, they posted another one today, the first one of a defenseman in a good while, Radim Murka. He was posted today. I believe he's Russian, big right shot defenseman. If Erik Karlsson does get traded, maybe the Pens, they do go out. They do think about drafting this Murka kid. So they posted his video today. I would like to think at least one of these videos they're posting will wind up being a Penguin, one of those prospects. Oh, by the way, also Porter Mertone, probably going to be a top 5 pick in the draft. Penguins would need to trade up and get him. Certainly wouldn't be opposed to playing with Sidney Crosby. Martone is did a video recently about getting to learn more about him before the draft Friday. Got asked a pretty simple question: Crosby or Ovi? He picked Sid right away. No hesitation. Little Penguins news to go about with this story here, but I will mention it. The Board of Governors for the NHL, they met today, and they talked about a handful of things. Frank Saravalli, who we've mentioned already, Hockey Insider, he posted on X the main points of this meeting. There was an extensive CBA update provided, but no vote taken, so there could be some changes made to the collective bargaining agreement for the NHL, maybe a salary cap increase. Wouldn't shock me in the slightest bit if that happens. A sale of the Predators to Bill Haslam. A sale of the Predators to Bill Haslam was approved. He now is a majority stake holder for the organization at 65%. A hockey operations update, no rule changes are pending. And this one here, which was probably the most interesting to me, there will be a poll this summer for all the NHL clubs on whether or not they will continue a centralized draft for the NHL. The NHL is really the only league that does this. All 32 teams, general managers, owners, whatnot, all 32 teams, they are in one building for the NHL draft. That could be changing. They are going to take a poll to decentralize that and have the NHL draft be more like the NFL and MLB, where all teams are back in their own offices, in their own draft rooms, maybe there's still an NHL draft, stage held somewhere where Gary Bettman can go and make the pick and you have a handful of prospects out there to walk on stage. But I wouldn't mind that. I would definitely make the NHL draft more entertaining in my opinion. I would like to see, fans actually be able to get into this more frequently and have the NHL teams back in their own spaces, sort of have an NFL style draft for the NHL. Wouldn't mind that one bit. Last thing here related in hockey news here today, and it's a former Penguin, Riley Smith. He continues his dream of playing for the Vegas Golden Knights. Former Penguin forward signed a 1-year, $2 million extension with the Golden Knights this afternoon. So after getting traded from Vegas to Pittsburgh, he then bitched his way out of Pittsburgh to the New York Rangers, then bitched his way some more from the New York Rangers back to Vegas, where he won a Stanley Cup before and will continue to play there. So I guess congratulations to Riley Smith on a 1-year deal out in Vegas. Last couple things here on today's show. Back into baseball for a second here. Ben Cherington, we talked about some quotes he had on his weekend radio show through 93.7 The Fan, talking about, we're close to competing. I think we got a good foundation here. Really gave us a bunch of BS. Anyways, Greg Brown, Pirates play-by-play commentator, he said that he mentioned that Ben Cherington is going to, quote, do something big here soon. Says that Cherington, nothing is imminent, but something big is coming. He went into further detail saying that this isn't going to be something trading for a rental, something that's going to be like a small trade or someone who's only going to be here for a year, maybe 2 at most, and then leave. But Greg Brown saying that something big is brewing for the Bucs and general manager Ben Cherington, and it will be something to monitor here in the upcoming weeks before the NHL trade deadline. We might know what that is, and unfortunately, these are 2 great players here, but I think their time in Pittsburgh has run a little long in the tooth. Bob Nightingale, MLB insider. I went to inspect more to see if I can find a post on him directly saying this, but I I couldn't find it. Anyways, Bob Nightingale, MLB insider. This is, I've seen twice here from Bruce Levine. He's a baseball analyst for 97 The Score, 97.0 The Score out in Chicago. And also from Adam Crowley of 93.7 The Fan. They say that Bob Nightingale is hearing the Chicago Cubs. They would, quote, love to get their hands on Mitch Keller and David Bednar. So 2 of the once thought to be, core players of the Bucs coming out of this rebuild. They're up on the chopping block, according to Bob Nightingale. The Cubs, they are interested in this. They're trying to get a deal done. It's going to be challenging because of a high sellers market right now, said Nightingale. But one GM told Bruce Levine, the Chicago analyst, that 25 teams still feel they have a chance at the wild card. So not too many teams full out selling like the Pirates are right now. But Mitch Keller and David Bednar could be on the move to a division rival here soon, which I get getting rid of them. Keller can't get a win to save his life on this team anymore. Bednar, he's had a rough past year and a half, and even though he's bounced back into seemingly an all-star form over the past month, you don't know whether or not he's going to fall back into a rut sooner or later. So I'd be okay getting rid of those guys at the right price, of course. But that's the thing. That's why I'm hesitant to do it. At the right price, we could probably come up, you and I, we could probably come up with a much better price, a more worthy price than ultimately what Ben Cherington is going to get back. Zero faith that this general manager, who has maybe gone 2 or 3 for like 30 in trades that in the end the Pirates came out on the better end of for the past 6 years, zero faith that he would get a good return for Keller and Bednar. If I had to guess what a return could possibly be for those guys, probably a big league bat. Now, if you're the Cubs, if you're, trying to make the playoffs here, you don't want to get rid of bats. You want to, sell off prospects to get pitching and keep your bats. But a young bat up on their roster for the Cubs, maybe another hitting prospect who's on the brink of making the big leagues. But I don't know. It'll probably be Ben Cherington because he's a moron. It'll probably be like, I don't know, a hitter who just came up with the Cubs, or who's been with the Cubs for like about a year and has a career batting average of like 175. They'll come here, they'll suck even more. And then a prospect that will start in like single A with the Greensboro Grasshoppers, and then you'll barely hear from him again. Zero confidence and very low expectations if a trade does get completed here, sending Mitch Keller and David Bednar to the Chicago Cubs. Which, also that's another thing too. The Cubs, a divisional team. If you, Ben Cherington, are so confident that the Bucs have a good foundation to compete sooner rather than later and possibly, actually play meaningful baseball at this time of year next year, what sense would it be sending Keller and Bednar to a division rival who's constantly at the top of the division? You're selling off these guys only to play against them once again. If you trade them, fine. Just, if you trade them, you better get it right, especially if they're going to a divisional opponent. Pirates got to do something. Yeah, they got to do something, but will that something be right? Probably not there, Flacco. Probably not. When we set low expectations for them, they go lower. Moving from one depressing baseball situation in what the Pirates are on the field and off the field, really, to another here. My heart and positive thoughts go out to Ketel Marte, second baseman for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Last night, the Diamondbacks, they were in Chicago to take on the White Sox, and during a pitching change, a new pitcher was coming in for the Diamondbacks. This game played in Chicago against the White Sox. You could see coming back from commercial there, manager Torey Lovullo for the D-backs was consoling a crying second baseman, Ketel Marte. Nobody at the time knew what Marte was crying for. Hopefully it, wasn't anything too bad. But after the game, Lovullo, the manager, revealed that a White Sox fan, yelled at Marte on the field, mocking him or taunting him, mentioning Marte's late mother, who sadly passed away in a car accident in 2017. Just no place in baseball for this. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because we saw damn near this exact same situation happen just a couple of days ago when Dennis Santana for the Pirates, He was out in the bullpen warming up. A fan brought up his deceased father. Santana took a swipe at a fan, and has since gotten, 4-game suspension that is currently in appeal, so he can keep playing. But it's absolutely disgusting that fans have to go this low to get under players' skins. Like, taunting and jeering players is one thing, but when you go this low to scumbag levels, bringing up dead family members, in Santana's case, there was racial taunts thrown his way as well as peanuts allegedly thrown at him. It's absolutely disgusting, and I'm sick of it. The MLB, they need to do something about this, because yes, these are professional athletes, but they're also humans, and they're not, like animals in a zoo that you can poke and prod and not think that there is going to be any sort of lasting effect on them. So my thoughts in prayers and positive vibes go out to Ketel Marte. He should not have gone through that at all. Just shows you, again, the White Sox, they're pretty much like the Pirates, bottom of the league team. But at least I'd like to think, majority of us Pirates fans, we at least, don't do crap like this to opposing players. So thoughts and prayers to Ketel Marte. An update on that was given today. The fan at the time was ejected from the stadium. And also today, Jesse Rogers, ESPN beat reporter for the White Sox and the Cubs, he said that the fan who caused Marte to break down like that, who mocked his deceased mother, has received a lifetime ban from all MLB ballparks. So good on the MLB for doing that. And hopefully better things ahead for both Dennis Santana and Ketel Marte. Last thing here that I have concrete to talk about, kind of like how I talked about the Steelers signing a long snapper, this pretty low-level roster move for the Pirates. DJ Stewart, who was brought in this offseason on a minor league deal, hit fairly decent in spring training, but he never made the big league squad. He was playing down in AAA with the Indianapolis Indians. He has been released, so DJ Stewart gone from the organization altogether. Going to take one scroll here through Twitter, see if there's anything new before we log off for the night. I'm also seeing, where we've been discussing possible NHL trades. I started to see some accounts on X breaking news and announcing a fake trade. Like, here's one here. The Penguins are acquiring J.J. Peterka from the Buffalo Sabres and Bowen Byram. Maybe you get one of those guys, but getting both would be a hell of a haul that you would need to give up. Looking if there's anything else happening here. One team I forgot to mention, I should say, that Erik Karlsson could be heading towards. The LA Kings, their general manager, Ken Holland, saying that defense is, quote, at the top of their to-do list. They are about to lose a good defenseman of theirs in Vladislav Gavrikov, but they'll need to replace him in some way, shape, or form. What about Erik Karlsson? Excuse me here, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea if I got him. I apologize. There's a little spider right there. Not quite sure if I got him or not. Didn't look harmless, but also didn't want him, bouncing around here. So we'll see if I got him here later on. Looking to see if there's anything else. Got our first All-Star announcement for the MLB All-Star game. At this point, I don't know who the hell you put in for the Bucs, to be honest. Oneil Cruz, once thought to be a lock for that and the home run derby. He ain't gonna be going. Paul Skeens, with his 4-7 record, probably the most deserving to go to the All-Star game. Actually play on a team that can hit. Okay, I am not seeing too much else here, so that's going to be it for the day here. Flocka, again, you had a chance to become Spider-Man. I don't think, respectfully, to this spider, that I was going to become Spider-Man. Maybe causes my finger to swell up. Look, he was just a tiny little thing. I don't know if I was able to catch him or not. If I had, paper or a tissue here, I would have, slightly picked him up and, placed him outside after I'm done here, but no idea where he went. Maybe he'll bite me on my toe now if he fell on the floor. Who knows? All right, that's going to do it here for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, on stream for damn near an hour and a half. Thank you for joining me this evening. Thank you, Flocko, for commenting as always. I appreciate it. The Bucs, they are off tonight. They are off tomorrow, so it will probably be a bit of a light day of news tomorrow, if I had to guess. But then Friday night, there will not be a normal Pittsburgh sports news broadcast like this. Instead, I will be on a little bit later in the evening for the at least half of the first round of the NHL draft, see what the Penguins do. But until then, we'll be back here tomorrow night. Okay, that was just the wind of the fan on my hand here. Thought I felt something crawling. The spider, it's out to get me, Flocko. We'll see if I can find him after this. All right, thank you all for joining me here tonight for the final time. If you have not done so already, please like, share, and comment on this live stream. Also, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so that you never miss when I am live again. Am I still good here? My computer screen glitched out there. Okay, hopefully everything's good, but at 412 subscribers, the 412 Pittsburgh area code is where we are at. Let's break that mark. Appreciate you for joining me here tonight. We'll see you back here tomorrow night for some more Pittsburgh sports news. Have a great night, guys. Flocko, everyone else, peace out. Have a good night. If you're in the heat, stay cool.